What's good, everybody? Your boy Dexter Henry alongside Bryan Fonseca for another edition of New York Got Game. Things rolling along for the New York Knickerbockers. At the time of us recording this, they've won 7 straight. However, some people will still be unhappy because that is life in the world we live in today. But we are getting closer to the playoffs. Finally. We're under 10 games to go in the season. We're close. We're almost there. We talked about it last week. Can't wait. Can't wait for the start of the playoffs.
Too excited for the playoffs, honestly.
Yeah, playoffs should be fun. I'm excited for the playoffs. Got to get there. Personally, got to get a little healthier before we get to the playoffs.
You and the teams
and the teams. NBA. I'm like the teams in the NBA. I just got to get healthy before I get to the playoffs. So that's it. But speaking of playoffs, no Jim Morrow voice. Speaking of that,
almost.
We are going to talk today about the Knicks' most favorable matchups. Mm-hmm. Now, there's 6 teams in this can play, okay? They could play any combination of the Heat, the Sixers, the Hawks, the Hornets, the Magic, or the Raptors. I am taking out the Cavs in this, if people will notice, because I think the Knicks will finish with the 3 seed or higher. So I do not think they have a 2.5 game lead over the Cavs right now. I think they're, 3 up in the loss column. Mm-hmm. I think that, and they have the tiebreaker. I think the Knicks are going to finish 3 or higher. I don't see them collapsing over these last 9 games. I could be wrong. Don't say I jinxed it. Don't blame me. But we're going to go with those 6 teams, right? The teams that are necessarily right now 6 through 10 in the NBA. Obviously, some of these teams may not make it depending on the play-in. So it's going to be very interesting.
Two of them
won't make it. Now, what's interesting, how we're going to rank these 6 teams. Brian's got his list ranked. I have no idea what he did in his ranking. I have my list ranked, and we're going to go from least favorable, right? Most favorable to least favorable. Sorry, wrong way. Most favorable to least favorable, right? So we're going to look at who's the opponent most favorable that the Knicks would want to play here in the first round, and who's the opponent they least likely should want to see in the first round. Now, a lot of people have different feelings about this. Bryan, we'll start with this. So who's the Knicks' most favorable matchup? That is the topic, and we'll get to least favorable. So we're going most to least favorable. Who do you have at number 1 as the matchup that the Knicks should want to see in the first round, and why?
The Toronto Raptors. Come on down.
Ooh.
4-0 against this team, and the point differential is ridiculous. Toronto, as a matter of fact, hasn't lost a game against the Knicks by less than 16 points. Every game has been a straight ass whooping. And that's why you want to play the Raptors in the first round. Just matchup-wise, you know the formula to sort of beat the Knicks. Not that it's easy to implement. I don't want to say it that way. But right. The formula to try to beat them is exposing the three-point defense, which has been better lately. But you want to try to generate three-point shots from the corners. You want to try to spread the defense out, then open that up for your drives down the middle of the lane, get fouled, put their defense, make them overhelp, put them in advantageous situations for you offensively. And in order to do that, you have to get them scrambling because sometimes the defense, they tend to not trust one another. And we haven't seen that as much lately because of scheduling and because they've just played better, right? Mm-hmm. But Toronto can't figure that out because you try to beat the Knicks outside in, they're trying to beat them inside out. And they're trying to beat them inside out in terms of like, hey, we're just going to drive over and over and over again. We're not going to shoot a bunch of threes. We're going to play Toronto Raptor basketball, and playing Toronto Raptor basketball is not how you beat the Knicks. So I just think matchup-wise, this is not a team that you should fear in a round 1 series.
So I agree with you. It's not necessarily a team that I would fear in a 7-game series. However, they were not my number 1.
Oh.
They were not my number 1. They were not. I knew you might be a little bit shocked at this. They are. I'll get to them in a second.
They're coming up.
They're coming.
Yeah,
they're coming.
I would imagine.
They're very close.
There's no way you don't have them like.
But my number 1 team, and the team I think is the most favorable for the Knicks to play in the first round, is your team, the Charlotte Hornets. Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah. This is the Charlotte Hornets. And listen, here's my thing.
You're saying this 24 hours before
they play the Charlotte Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets.
I am. I have a lot of respect.
The new look Charlotte Hornets.
The new look Charlotte Hornets. I have a lot of respect for how the Charlotte Hornets have been playing. Shout out to my guy Rob Boone with the Charlotte Observer. Does a great job covering the Hornets. But here's my thing. I think the Hornets can be a dangerous matchup for somebody in the playoffs, but I don't think it's the Knicks. And I think the Knicks are a team that are just too experienced for them, that they could give them problems maybe for a game, but the Knicks will figure it out. Here, look, Charlotte, let's talk about what they do good. They can score, okay? This is one of the better offensives in the league, but defensively, still vulnerable. And I think the Knicks could exploit that there. Look, their net rating recently, plus 4.7. It's good. Not elite, but it's good. I have respect for them there, right? But to me, when I look at that team, they've got shooting, which the Knicks don't want to get in the three-point contest with them. So I understand where you might have some trepidation there, but they rely heavily on the shooting. And if the shots don't fall for them, especially on the road in the playoffs, what's that team got for you? Not much that I think about them inside, right? Plus, I think this would be a matchup I would hope. Hope is the key word, people. Cat should feast. Keyword is should. Should be a little bit more physical against their front court.
He's been better lately.
That is inexperienced. And he has been better lately, right?
Yep.
Here's the bottom line for me with the Hornets. Love the talent. Talent's there, and I think they're coming. Bryan, I'm sure I'll get to it in a second. Bryan loves the talent. Love the talent, and it's got love is maybe strong, but Bryan likes
love
the talent.
Love is not
there.
strong.
Love is not strong.
Although they don't need Miles.
They don't need
Miles.
It's been your league pass team all season long, right? You stuck with them when it was not good and thought the turnaround was coming. However,
they're about to have me hit all my overs.
I just think that they still don't. I'm going to give it a little bit of inexperience there. It doesn't mean I don't see that there are ways they could challenge the Knicks, particularly with their shooting. But again, young team, when again situations on the road, that's very, very, very reliant on the three-point shot. How is that going to work? And so I'm trusting and banking on the Knicks' experience here over the Hornets here, and it's primarily because of that. Because I could have flipped to Toronto, and I hear the points made in Toronto. I'll get to Toronto in a second. But I'm going with the Hornets as the most favorable matchup for the New York Knicks in the first round. Granted, it is kind of a long shot because they're probably more likely to play as the 8 seed, but you never know. They could get up to 7 in the play-in. We'll see. But I'm going Hornets, most favorable matchup for the Knicks in the first round. Plus, I also want to add another factor here, people. You also know that if the Knicks do play the Hornets in the first round, it's going to be MSG South. I know that's really South Beach is the one we call in Miami, but MSG South might as well be Charlotte, North Carolina, and it's going to be full of Knicks fans. So, yeah.
I don't love this.
That's right.
I don't love that.
Because you love the Hornets.
See, you'll get to the Raptors in a second. I will not get to Charlotte in a second. Is my
You're going higher on Charlotte. Oh my God.
We'll see to what degree. And I'll save the Charlotte love for later. What I will say though is that is to credit North Carolina. It's a basketball market that is hungry for playoff basketball. I think there will be less Knicks fans there in the playoffs than there will have been in the regular season. They'll be there, to be clear. But I do think more Hornets fans will pop out for a playoff series. And you also mentioned this, and I think this is important. The likelihood of this happening is not great. Charlotte could get up to that 7th spot, and you would need the Knicks to pass the Celtics, which they could do. We'll see how each team finishes the season. But the likelihood of this happening, I wouldn't call it like one of the 1 or 2 in the top 6 that we're talking about. Charlotte still has to dig themselves out of that 9-10 spot, which they can do. They got a big win over the Kings yesterday. You want to talk about net rating? I mean, we'll get to them later. But yeah, I disagree, but I understand.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is. I also could see a world. I'm intrigued to see where you have my kind of an idea of where you probably have them, but there's a world in which I could have put them higher. But experience is a factor to me. Sure. But here's what I will say. I want to put some respect on the Hornets' name. I think the Hornets are primed to play a team like Detroit. I think Detroit is a great matchup for them. And that's even without taking the fight aside and all that stuff. I just think Detroit's inexperience,
part of it, though.
with their inexperience coming through, and the fight, and the beef. We like a little bit of beef there. I think that can work. So I think they're a team primed to that. So because I said the Raptors were coming up for me soon, before you get to your number 2, I'm going to give my number 2, which is the Raptors. Okay? So I'm with you. A lot of the points you made with the Raptors. The thing for me with the Raptors and why the Knicks, I think, match up very well with them, I'm giving them a little bit of an edge. They have some players that have played some postseason basketball.
Sure, yeah.
And I think that slight experience matters here.
Includes
However,
a couple on the Knicks.
Couple that were on the Knicks, right? In R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickly
yep.
that we saw there. Brandon Ingram has played postseason basketball. These are guys that understand it. That doesn't mean they're a good matchup for the Knicks. And that's where I am with you, right?
Love it for them.
Problem to me with Toronto, and you hit the nail on the head with this, the offense is just so limited. If I talk about Charlotte and their high dependence on 3-point shots, although they're a really good shooting team, right? But that doesn't always translate to the playoffs when you got to make shots on the road in your first time and all that. The Raptors are the opposite. They can't shoot, right? They can't get into a shooting contest with the Knicks. And we've seen the Knicks against their defense easily put up threes. Mikal Bridges had one of his best games of the season against them. Here's the thing with Toronto, too. It's not just the Knicks problem. You talked about the 4-0 with the Knicks against them this season. Charlotte overall struggles against good teams. They have a sub-500, Toronto struggles against good teams. They have a sub-500 record against really good teams, the elite playoff competition in this league. Now, defensively, they're a solid team, okay? They're going to play hard on defense. They're going to be scrappy. They have a 112.4 defensive rating coming into the time of us recording this. They do move the ball well for a team, and they got to get a lot of cutting and attacking the rim, like you said.
Not enough.
Not enough, but if you want to make them shoot, which is if you're the Knicks or any team playing them, this is what you want to make them do. I think the Knicks have the ability to do that. Go ahead.
Do you want me to read off the amount of points they've scored against the Knicks this season in the 4 games they played each other?
Yep.
This is in order. So from November 30th, you have 94. December 9th, 101. January 28th, 92. And this is around the time where the Knicks weren't playing that awesome earlier in that month. And then March 3rd, 95. They've broken 100 against the Knicks, whose defense was not the steadiest
at that time. Most of those times.
Right.
Yeah.
Like one time. This is why to me, that's the team. If I'm the Knicks, that's who I want to see. And look, from following this team, not every single time you're going to have a team that is a cakewalk during the regular season that is also a cakewalk in the playoffs. But this very much feels like one of those times because Toronto would have to change up how they play in order to really bother the Knicks in terms of trying to make a concerted effort to spread them out from the 3-point line, get to those corners, get effective looks, stretch out Cat in a different way, make Mikal Bridges have to work in a different way. They just haven't demonstrated the ability to do that. You mentioned their record, by the way. So they're 40-31 right now at the time we're talking about this. You remember that really good start that they had to the year?
They were top 2, top 3 in the East.
They were 14-5. So they're basically a 500 team for about 4 months, more or less. And this is what we're sort of dealing with. They have been, I don't want to say coasting on their great start, but the reason they're here, it's kind of been a team that's top heavy, so to speak, in terms of where they got their wins on the schedule. And now, they've just been floating around this 5, 6, 7 area. I don't know if they're going to fall into the play-in or not, but again, if I'm the Knicks, that's the team that I would want the most.
Here's my one last thing I'd like to add here, too. That's a problem for me with the Raptors. When I look at them, when I've made my notes on them this season, okay, late in the games, let's say the game's close, which I just don't think it would be necessarily against the Knicks.
They haven't played a close game yet.
But let's say it was.
Yeah.
Let's just say the Raptors got into a close game. It was game 2 or something.
Over a series, you would expect at least one.
There's going to be one.
Yeah. Probably more.
If you're looking at the Raptors team, who do you want the ball in their hands for the Raptors to score for you? Who do you trust to be your go-to closer for the Raptors? You're
now,
thinking,
is this against the Knicks?
Against the Knicks. Really against anybody, you could ask it, but I'm talking about against the Knicks.
Honestly.
But see, the fact you have to think about it to me is a problem.
I want my answer to be Scotty Barnes.
I wouldn't want that.
Little disrespectful.
But I'm not, maybe, but if you're coaching, do you trust that?
Because Barnes is good. Barnes is legit. He's really good. But at the same time, in terms of creating a shot against who's going to be guarding him, it's probably going to be OG. Right? Do I love that for Scotty Barnes at this stage? Would I prefer Brandon Ingram instead?
But do you trust that?
I trust him more.
Yeah,
based on body of work and resume now. Look, a Raptors fan may see this and this may sound asinine, but at the same time, it's the Raptors haven't even been in a position where the game is close yet. I would love for them to play in a playoff series and for the Raptors to make it interesting. Make it 2-2 after 4 games. Make the Knicks sweat a little bit because I want to see.
Knicks fans ain't trying to hear that. What you talking about? What are you talking about?
This team. Look, you're only going to win the title if you have more back against the wall situations. It's just I don't know if Toronto's going to be the one to force that. We should move on. I don't want to spend too much time with the Raptors.
Because you said the Raptors enough.
I just don't want to disrespect them too much. But honestly, the point differential this season in the head-to-head matchup has just been disgraceful between these two.
Now, before you get to your number 2, as we go here, we do have now our own Stephen Bondi, beat writer covering the New York Knicks. He made a comment about who he believes is the least favorable matchup for the Knicks to play if they were to meet in the first round of the playoffs. And this is what he had to say. He talked to our Brandon London about this just a couple of days ago. This is what he had to say about who he thinks the Knicks' most favorable matchup would be in the first round of the playoffs. Let's take a listen.
I tell you what team I would want to see, and I've gotten some backlash over this because I shared this opinion before. I'd love to see the 76ers. I don't think Joel Embiid is going to make it through a 7-game series. I don't think he'll make it through even like 3 playoff games without getting injured. His history shows that he slows down. His knee is bothersome when the game gets physical and he's got to play a lot of minutes. So, they also have Paul George, who's old and hasn't played a bunch because he's in the middle of a drug suspension. So, yeah, I mean, if I were to pick my opponent and if I'm the Knicks, and I know they don't get to do that, but if I were, I'd pick the 76ers.
Bondi picking the Sixers. You thought I was out here disrespecting the Raptors or the Hornets. Bondi is out here picking the Sixers. Here's the thing.
You're going to slightly agree. That's what that tone tells me.
No.
No?
I don't agree that they're the most favorable matchup for the Knicks. I'll get to the Sixers
I thought
later.
they were the most dangerous at one point.
At one point's the key word. Now,
Well, pre-Maxi's injury. Now I have some questions.
I'm not saying that Bondi's take here, his position is not, it's rooted in logic. I just want to be very clear about this.
It's going to be rooted in logic. Absolutely.
I understand, and I will come back to some of the things that Bondi said when I get to the Sixers, where they are on my list. I will get back to some of the things he said about them.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to question them. Yeah. I don't think they're the most favorable matchup, but I understand where he's going with that and why he doesn't trust him at all. And I even know Sixers fans. I know some Sixers fans, they don't even trust the Sixers, right? And I understand why they don't trust the Sixers at all whatsoever. They don't trust them at all whatsoever. So I completely get it. Now, some people might agree and say, hey, Sixers injuries, they're right for the taking. You should go get them. I don't necessarily fully agree with Bondi. I'll get to more later, but we just wanted to put that out there. We'll discuss more. I'm not assuming, are the Sixers number 2 for you?
No.
So the Sixers are not number 2 for you. Mm-hmm. So we're putting a little bit more respect on the Sixers than Bondi is necessarily. We'll get to Bondi's comments a little bit more later, but I thought that was an interesting one. All right, so who do you have at number 2 on your list?
The Atlanta Hawks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay. It doesn't sound like you're going to have them in your top 3.
You might not be correct, or might be correct.
We'll see.
People had them as a top 4 seed before the season started. Some people had them as a top 4 seed.
Yeah, and at one point I really liked their team too, but I feel like we were getting overzealous with that. I think I ended up liking their under because I feel like we were getting too carried away with the wins, which, by the way, is still in play. They're 40-32. Their win total at one point was 47.5, 48.5. So we'll have to see where that sort of tops out. Now, they recently just had, so be respectful here, an 11-game winning streak. Now, if you look at the level of competition and you look at where those games were at, this is important. Brooklyn, Washington, Portland, all at home. At Milwaukee, we know what's going on with the Bucks this season. You got Philly, you got Dallas, shorthanded Philly, by the way, shorthanded Dallas. You have Brooklyn again, you have Milwaukee again. You have Orlando. Orlando's shorthanded, but that's
their one good win.
Yeah, and then Dallas on the road, and then they just lost to Houston.
You want to talk about a favorable schedule?
Yeah.
Woo-hoo. But hey, they did what they were supposed to do. They took care of business.
Right. And look, if I'm going to give I give the Knicks credit for taking care of business, right?
Facts.
I give the Hornets credit for taking care of business. I give all the good teams credit for taking care of business. But at the same time, I don't want that to cloud just sort of what I've seen. Now, Jonathan Kuminga is an interesting wrinkle. We've only seen him for 8 games, and we've only seen him for 22 minutes a game. That is somebody who not been a knockdown three-point shooter for the course of his career, although he's making them in Atlanta, not at a high three-point rate, so I wouldn't buy too much into that. But to his credit, when the Warriors were shorthanded last year, and it was the Jimmy Butler show, like Jonathan Kuminga came in, and he actually was productive. He actually did have a pretty nice run while Steph Curry was out in that Minnesota Timberwolves series. But this is another kind of inexperienced thing. Not for Nickeil Alexander-Walker. He's been there. And not so much for Jonathan Kuminga, as I mentioned, but if you look at, up and down the roster, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, CJ McCollum, Onyeka Okongwu, who has been productive this year, although the on-off numbers haven't been awesome to him, and you can make of that what you will. I just don't love this matchup from a Hawks standpoint. I feel like they just don't have enough things that would really bother the Knicks enough to win a 7-game series. I think there's a world where they make it interesting, and Jalen Johnson is really good. Like, he's legitimate. He's an all-star. He's a contender for All-NBA this year, given the way that some of the injuries have broken in his favor. But I think this is a 6-game series max for the Knicks.
Yeah, I think there's a world in which I'm going to put. So you have them at number 2.
Yeah.
We'll get right into it. I have them at number 3.
Yeah.
My number 3 team is the Hawks.
Yeah.
So we're not off that much. Look, the defense with this team, it's interesting because this team has evolved, and you just talked a lot about it. The way this team was at the beginning of the season was like, okay, we got some defenders to put around Trae Young. Trae Young, obviously, now with the Washington Wizards, right?
I said it was the best team they built around Trae Young on paper.
Yeah,
and
better than that team that went to the conference finals.
And who was the problem this year?
Trae Young,
along with Kristaps Porzingis, evidently,
who couldn't play.
That's why,
right? But what they were trying to do, I saw it at the beginning of the season. Mm-hmm. What they're trying to do in the way they're trying to build their team now, with a lot of length, with guys who are pretty good two-way players, I see it too. I think they're they're almost like what the Raptors wish they could be, to some degree, right? Like, because they could shoot the ball a little bit better. They've got some length. They're kind of what the Raptors wish they could be. Look, the defense is, it's mid for them, right? 113 defensive rating. It's mid for them. It's not.
10th in the league, which is surprising, although that's been beefed up because of their recent
schedule. And that's why I say mid. Because some people look at me like, hey, they're 10th in defensive rating. Well, yeah, look at who they've recently played.
Yeah. Do you think the Hawks actually have the 10th best defense in the NBA?
I think they have some really good on-ball defenders on that team.
Yeah, I don't know if they're that far from 10, but I don't think they're 10th.
No, I think they're probably closer to mid, 14, 15 in the league. Is what I'm saying. And I think some of those things, those numbers, it'll even back out in the playoffs.
Maybe, yeah.
When you play good offensive teams like the Knicks that are a little bit more balanced, which is what the Knicks have become, I think that's a little bit better. I think they're a team that the Knicks, while they have guys that can throw a Brunson and a Dyson Daniels, this is what's going to say to you, oh, you can throw Dyson Daniels at Brunson. You could put Nickeil Alexander-Walker on Brunson. You even have Okongwu, who's switchy, and if he gets in a 1-5 pick-and-roll situation, you trust him to some degree.
Yeah, but it's probably another Cat series.
Yes.
Should be. Should be.
Like the word. We saw Cat cook him down in the ATL early in the season.
This is true.
And we saw him give Okongwu a lot of problems. This is also another series, folks. You want to talk about home court advantage? Knicks got another home right there down in the A. It don't matter. They got another home right down there in the A. Listen, give the Knicks do you notice my top 3 are all from the same division? They're all Southeast.
I mean, four of these teams are from the Southeast division. Talk about, yeah.
But 3 of them are in my top 3. Excuse me. Well, not Toronto. Excuse me. 2 of the 3 are in the top or in the Southeast division, right? We'll get to the other 2. Mm-hmm. Knicks Southeast division. Might as well be it's MSG wherever that place is. MSGA, we got MSG Charlotte, we got MSG South Beach. We'll get to them a little bit later, and MSG Orlando. It doesn't matter for
Washington,
the Knicks.
Also, we're not talking about them. But
MSG Capital, if you want to call it that, right? They're not in this because they're so bad. They're not even mentioning
DC.
Right. The A. I know y'all going to try to come out. Y'all better call it Magic City Night every night if you don't want Knicks fans to show up. You better do that. You better have the lemon pepper wings out there.
You don't think Knicks fans will show up for Magic City? Or are you saying Hawks fans will
show up for Magic City? Yeah. Okay. Hawks fans might want to show out. You can bring T.I. out there every night. Whatever you need to do. But
speaking of, he's beefing with 50 right now.
Knicks
might as well have that unfold during the playoff series too.
I can't rock with 50 on that. That might be interesting there. So that's fine.
Being honest,
I think the Hawks' defense in this is good enough to steal a game. You talked about them when they said I could see.
I think they could win too. I think all of these teams can push the Knicks to 6.
Look,
except I just have the least amount of faith in Toronto.
I have the least amount of faith in Charlotte and Toronto. The Hawks could do it because, look, CJ McCollum's a trusted pro.
He's a straight pro
that can help them there.
Still gets buckets. Also, often, like, he knows where to pick his spots, where not to try to do too much.
This to me, this feels like I didn't give predictions on this. The Hornets, I can see getting hot shooting in a game and it goes 5. Raptors feels like a sweep. This series feels like 5 to me. I see the way it can be 6, but I'd probably lean towards 5.
I probably would too. I give the Raptors 1. I give them 1.
You're being nice.
I can't. Sweep is like I don't like predicting sweeps. And sweeps,
I do.
Sweeps don't happen that often.
I do. Listen, it's hard in a 7-game series.
The Knicks mess around. Like, they get comfortable, and then the next game that they win by a bunch. Like, it just there's letdown spots all over, and the Knicks have had plenty of letdown spots, even in games that they've won this year, right? So that's why I don't think any of these series are sweeps, but I do think I'm kind of ranking them on like what has the best chance of being a sweep. in some way.
Okay, but that factors into things for me, and I think the Hornets, because of their inexperience, has the best chance of being a sweep to me. The Raptors haven't won a game all year, which kind of scares me because it feels like they might be due for one win.
Maybe,
but I still think it's more likely.
But none of the games have been close.
But stylistically, I just think it's stylistically. I know where you were coming from, going Raptors over Hornets, and now we'll see if this is where you put the Hornets. Because it'll be interesting because we're at 3.
So
I got the Hawks
3.
at 3. I did 3 because I just did the Hawks because you followed the Hawks. So now you're 3.
Philly. I put Philly here.
Yeah, wow, you were closer. You are closer to Mr. Bondi than I am, but not far off, is what I'll say.
I'm worried about the injuries. Now, but I think everybody from 3 on can be dangerous. To be fair, like
can be dangerous. Okay.
Yeah, like I think they have enough to make the series uncomfortable. Like the Pistons series last year, I think would be uncomfortable, right? I think everybody here can do a version of that, where it's like a close 6 games. I think everyone from 3 to 6.
So what I would like you to hit on, because I have my thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Why do you think the Sixers in particular can be dangerous? Because Stephen Bondi feels like the Sixers may not be that dangerous.
It's literally just health. So the reason I would put them higher if they were healthy, because I think if they were healthy, they'd actually be clicking right now, given their schedule, given some of their recent losses, and given where they still are in the standings. But right now, it's like Joel Embiid, I would say in and out of the lineup, but mostly out, let's be honest. He's questionable to play tonight, as of when we're talking against Chicago Bulls. We'll see. Obviously, Paul George, his situation, and then Tyrese Maxey. That's the big one for me. Because Tyrese Maxey, I could argue, and probably would argue, if I'm looking at all 6 of these teams and I'm looking at who is the scariest player in a playoff series for me, out of anybody here, Tyrese Maxey might be number 1. Like, might be number 1. He definitely is from an offensive standpoint.
Scariest player.
In a playoff series. Out of the 6 teams we're talking about. So Raptors, Hawks, Sixers, Heat, Magic, Hornets. Tyrese Maxey is probably number 1 on that list.
I don't disagree with that. I'll get to that in a second. I don't disagree with that at all.
The issue is I don't think Joel Embiid's number 2. I don't think he's number 3. Like it takes a bit. He's had some big playoff games, but I've also seen Bam, who we'll talk about in a little bit. I've seen Bam give him that work in the playoffs and also lock him up in the playoffs. Like I've seen that happen. And I've seen Joel Embiid just have like a bunch of like something always happens in the playoffs for him. And to Bondi's point, he just breaks down. And now we're not even getting like the peak version of him. When he's played this year, like per minute, he's been really good. When he's out really there from an offensive standpoint, I know he's not rebounding the same way, but just look at him play. Just watch him be effective in terms of abusing mismatches, in terms of getting to that jump shot. The jumpers look good this year, but he's just not, it's not the same. It does look like a center who's past his prime and is just talented enough to cook offensively, but could only do it for limited spurts. And I just don't think they're going to have enough in totality. And the other big thing with Philly is I don't trust their depth. I do not trust their depth really at all. Speaking of, Kelly Oubre is still out. So Tyrese Maxey, to me, this begins and ends with him. He is the sole reason why I think Philly can push the Knicks in a playoff series to like a 6-game series. But I don't think the health will probably be to where it needs to be. And I have questions about just the depth also. Like, I think the Knicks might be too much. We've even seen the Knicks smack a healthy Sixers team or a healthier Sixers team not that long ago.
Yeah, I like a lot of what you said. A lot of what you said there for 3. Now, I had them at 4. They're my team that I have at 4.
Okay, so they're next for you.
They're next for me. So I have them my team at 4.
Flow right into this one.
So I put 2 notes here. Why can this get dangerous, folks? Tyrese Maxey. And I'll also add, excuse me, I will also add VJ Edgecombe. Now, he's a rookie, and I don't know how he's going to perform in the playoffs. But what I will say
I
is,
love VJ Edgecombe.
what I will say is,
Love him.
they might have the fastest backcourt in the NBA. Fast don't lie. And sometimes that can be a problem for the Knicks. I saw Tyrese Maxey in the first couple games. One game, I believe, he was with me at MSG when we watched the Sixers play the Knicks early in the season. I think that was in December.
Yeah.
And Tyrese Maxey was giving Mikal Bridges that work. And
He gives the Knicks work. Yeah, like anybody.
And he's fearless. He is a clutch player. He's a big-time player. He right now is the best player, to your point, that I would trust on the Sixers. And I think most people who root and cover the Sixers would also agree with that.
Yep.
I don't know what VJ Edgecombe is going to do in his first series play in the playoffs ever, assuming that they get there. This is also assuming that they get there.
Right, that's the other
I don't
thing.
know that, right? I think they kind of better get there, but I don't know that they get there. Out of all of these teams, and this is the if. This is the big if, and this ties into what Bondi's talking about. Man, I don't think they're as favorable as Bondi said. I don't agree with him on that. But I'm also not going to give him heat. He said people were giving him heat. I'm not giving him heat for this either. I don't think it's crazy take here.
I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy.
The
But
health,
because the health thing is real.
Yeah.
The health thing is a big if. Because you could say this. Somebody's going to say, hey, Dex and Bryan, well, if the Sixers were healthy, out of all these teams that you're talking about, they've got more top-end talent. But there's the if. And we don't see Joel Embiid that often. Paul George is dealing with the PED suspension. And he's older. And he really hasn't been that good in a Sixers uniform or available in a Sixers uniform. Now, here's some things you could talk about that work well for the Sixers, okay? They are a good offensive rebounding team. They do have some interior presence. And here's the if again, folks, when Joel Embiid is there, right? That's the if. 31.1 offensive rebounding rate as a team. That is one of their strengths. However, right? They're pretty good defensively. They can get blocks, they can get steals, they can rack those up. Embiid, if he's healthy, is going to force double teams. Because of his size, you have to respect him there. But again, will he be there? That's the key. Or will he pull down Mitchell Robinson by the leg again? We have no idea. We don't know. I don't know if he's going to be there. You don't know if he's going to be there. It's a lot to ask of the Sixer team. It's all these ifs. If all these things hit, they could be good. But I'm not trusting them to do that at all whatsoever. I'm giving them respect with the ifs of putting them at 4 and saying that they're basically, this is the third least favorable matchup, right, that the Knicks would want to do, or now fourth most favorable matchup, right, however you want to look at it. I will give them the respect at that. I think there's too much high-end talent, if it's clicking, for me to feel comfortable to put them at 1, but I think the flaw is that I don't know if we're going to see that high-end talent. Now, if everybody's there and healthy, it's a big if, sure. That's going to make Tyrese Maxey more dangerous, could give VJ Edgecombe the opportunity to cook. The Knicks, if they're healthy, are going to have to be on their game defensively. This is a team that could play inside out. This is a team that could cause them some problems. But for me, there are way too many question marks for me to put them down to 6 here in the ranking in terms of least favorable, or for me to really put them at 1 in the ranking at most favorable.
They're a wild card. They're the biggest wild card here, maybe.
No doubt.
Maybe,
No doubt.
Maybe. There might be another wild card.
Because there's too many ifs.
Yeah. And
the only thing I feel
that's what
good
it comes down to for me. Like, if they were healthy, they would be 6 for me. Like,
I agree.
If they were healthy, because of Maxey, and because if they're healthy, that means Embiid's actually playing.
And I want to say that even if they're not healthy, and let's say Maxey's healthy. Maxey. I'm just going to talk about Maxey. Maxey's the healthiest of their big three that you trust. He's their best player. He's good enough to me to wreak havoc for you for a game.
100%.
And do something. More than a game or two. He is, I could not agree with you more. He is the scariest player that is in this group of 6 that, if healthy, I trust. Now, but if he's not right, and Embiid's not right, and we're talking about Paul George getting back to basketball shape and then playing right, that's a lot of ifs.
Wasn't even that good to begin with, if we're being honest. Like,
Fair.
He's not Paul George, like Paul George.
No. I don't want to say he's cooked, but he's looked cooked-ish. Right? Like, that's what he's looked like. He has. He's cooked. He's a cooked dish. So now you're asking me for Embiid, who can't play back-to-backs, and anything you hear around the Sixers and people I talk to around the Sixers, don't trust
Not
it.
even back-to-backs. He just sits.
Right.
Like, because in the playoffs, there are no back-to-backs. But
can he play 2 games in 3 nights?
right, every other night.
Can he do that? I don't know. Now, in the first round, things get spread out a little bit more. So he'll get an advantage of sometimes getting 2 nights off. But that might not be enough. Joel Embiid could come to the arena and be like, I can't go. Now, here's one thing I want to mention. There was that game in January, people. January 23rd, I believe it was. Come on, the 23rd or 24th. The Knicks played the Sixers. The Knicks played in that third quarter one of the best quarters they played defensively all season. I would put that
100%.
I'd put that third quarter up there for the Knicks, and I'd put San Antonio's second quarter in the second game at home. The last time they played the Spurs at home in early March against anything this season, where I saw them play defense well. Sixers came back in that game. Joel Embiid killed the Knicks in the first half of that game. Killed the Knicks. And the Knicks had him on lock in the second half of the game. And if you remember, people, in the final minutes of the game, final 5 minutes of the game, Bryan and I did a post game after this. Final 5 minutes of the game, the Knicks went small. And they had OG Anunoby at center. And the Knicks did fantastic defense. They went with OG, Brunson, Landry Shamet. Remember, Kel Bridges did not play because he shot terribly in that game.
Yeah.
It wasn't Cat. I don't remember who the other. I said OG.
Was it Diawara?
Might have been.
I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to remember who else
But
it was.
The
But
point
Josh Hart. Josh Hart.
Yeah.
It was Josh Hart.
And OG was playing center in a lineup that
Yes.
had Joel Embiid. By the way, I just look. You want to guess the amount of times Joel Embiid has played 5 consecutive games this season?
0.
Once.
Once.
He's
Yeah.
done it once. He played 6 games in a row. Obviously not back to back to back,
Right.
like straight days, but 6 games in a row. Because if we're talking about a playoff series that can go 6, you got to play 6 games straight. He's only done it once this season, and he did it in basically at the start of the new year, from December 30th through January 9th. And one of those games was a win in New York at the Knicks, in which they scored 130, and this is when the Knicks were about at their low point, or getting to that low point.
Yeah,
of
that's
the
a
year.
great stat. That's why I can't. That's why I'm putting enough respect on the talent, and Maxey
100%.
is why I have them at 4 and you have them at 3.
Yeah.
But I can't go with Bondi putting them at 1. I'm not going to put him there. But I understand what he's saying, and I damn sure couldn't put him at 6 because there's just too much of I don't know. There's too much.
So your top 4, or yeah, I guess top 4, we'll say.
Yeah, 4.
You have Charlotte,
Yes.
Toronto,
Yep.
Atlanta,
Atlanta
and then Philly.
and Philly.
All right. I've given you Toronto, Atlanta, and Philly. So we're doing my number 4.
I'm curious here about these last 3 for you because I think you might be curious with my 6, but go ahead. You might be shocked. Shocked, I'll say.
Speaking of Bam Adebayo,
Wow.
we're putting the Miami Heat here.
Wow. Okay.
We're going with the
Okay.
Heat here. They haven't looked great lately. Part of this, funny enough, is like they're healthy and they play better when somebody's out. It just somebody has to be Tyler Hero or Norman Powell, it appears. But Norman Powell and Tyler Hero together, I think they're 5-11 this season, because everyone in the world who watches that team will tell you like this wasn't going to work, but they're so stubborn that they're going to try it anyway. But the reason they're here is, one, defensively, they have enough to bother the Knicks. They've shown that. It starts with Bam. It's also the scheme with Eric Spoelstra. It's like defensively they can cause a lot of problems. The reason they're not higher on the list is because I don't know if they have the offensive talent to actually cause those problems on the other end consistently enough. But I think everybody who watches both teams will tell you, yes, the Heat can probably win 2 games in that series and push to 6. It would look a lot like the Pistons series last year, probably.
Could totally see that.
In terms of the scores, in terms of the margins. And I think the Knicks are clearly better and more talented, but the Heat just have that formula. And this is a team that I think their defense is legitimate. Like, they've been top 5, top 6 all year. They're actually right around where the Knicks are right now. And Bam, who will not be Defensive Player of the Year, is probably going to be again on an all-defensive team. He's been all-defense every year. He's been a starter in the NBA except last year, which is ridiculous. So he's going to have, I think, his sixth all-defense this year, in all likelihood, assuming he gets on the team. Beyond that, I just think that with the way they can shapeshift their zone defense, If the Knicks are struggling from shooting, like Eric Spoelstra will lean into that. They have different ways that they can pressure Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's also gotten his against the Heat in the playoff series. Like in that closing game where the Heat beat them in 6 a couple years ago, Jalen Brunson had 41 in a game that was well under, like I think the final was 91-87 or 93-89, something along those lines. So it's not even specific to just one player. Bam has had some games where he's really bothered Cat, also on that end of the floor. Cat tends to rebound well against his team, so it can be a Cat series from that standpoint, but I feel like this is a series where he may be a little bit more inconsistent offensively. He's had some good games against them too. Like one this year where I believe Jalen Brunson was shorthanded and Cat went to work. But it's just going to provide for a lot of just inconsistent. It's not going to be a series where everything's the same from game to game. Like the Heat could, like they have the potential to shoot better than they do. Andrew Wiggins is now healthier than he has been. He's been out for a while. They're sneakily deep. They're just a small team, and that's why I can't put them any higher than this. But the defense, I have to respect it. And also, before their recent losing streak in which they're trying to figure out the Tyler Hero, Norman Powell thing, which, by the way, there's the offensive talent. I thought they were playing really, really well leading into that.
Interesting, because now I know who your final 2 teams are going to be, and this is going to be very interesting. You got the Heat there at 4, I guess we'll say here.
You have them higher.
I do have them higher.
That's interesting.
I do have them higher than you. I'll get to why I have them higher than you, and for some of the reasons.
I think there are a decent amount of Knicks fans who watch this and other NBA observers who watch this who might agree, and they'll be like, yo, like they just pissed the Knicks off. And the Knicks will end up winning, but all the games will be close.
Hey, sometimes it's like that, right? And sometimes it is like that.
They're annoying. They don't have enough probably to be better than a second round or even first round exit, but they're annoying.
Yeah. Sometimes annoying is all it takes to be a little bit higher on this list. Okay, so we're through 4 here. We've got 2 more teams to go. Mm-hmm. Who's your number 5? I'm gonna let you go with number 5 because I know what your final 2 teams. You should know what my final 2 teams are. Uh-huh. One of them are common. I'm just curious as to if you have this common team next,
number 5,
or not.
Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic.
Okay, all right. You really love the Hornets. Jesus, man. Jesus. Wow. We are on opposite ends of the spectrum with the Hornets.
We have the same number 5 team, though.
Yeah, so we can talk Magic. We both have the Magic at number 5. Go ahead. The Magic, interesting team. Some people thought they could be top 4 too in the East this year. Hasn't played out that way.
I thought they'd be 3rd or 4th, if I recall.
Yeah, but go ahead.
So they have an injury situation too. The weird thing with them is they've been better when one of Paolo or Franz is out, which is something they still haven't figured out. Franz Wagner's been out. I talked to somebody who covers the Magic very closely, Brandon Kravitz, and he has told me like the decision to play Franz Wagner in Germany seems to have backfired, and for obvious reasons. He's German. He's one of the best players on the German national team. It's honestly him and Dennis Schroeder right now. But you still have him out. Anthony Black is out still. So they have some injury questions to 2 really key players, Franz being the main one. But Anthony Black has also been good this year. Jalen Suggs is always a question mark from an injury standpoint too. And the Magic, they were also playing better around Paolo Banchero. Like Paolo Banchero post All-Star break has played much better than where he was beforehand. The issue is just, and why I can't put them at 6 is they've kind of shown all year like this just might not be the year. But they do have some things that can bother the Knicks too. Like it's kind of like a version of the Heat, except they have more offensive talent because you do have Paolo, who, look, I know the plus minus has not been friendly to him throughout the course of his career. Better lately, but not throughout the course of his career. But mostly dimensional offensively, can drive, can set up others. I particularly think he's been very good when he's a playmaker and looking to pass and set guys up. I think that kind of like Julius Randle, which is not the comparison you want if you're Paolo Banchero, but I like when he's actually making an attempt to set up others. That's when his game like flows nicely and you can find shooters and things like that. Playing Javon Carter over Tyus Jones has been more impactful than it should be, which tells you a lot about where Tyus Jones is right now. And just looking at the bigs, the size that you have on this team, and that could become an issue. Like that's sort of the thing I look at with the Magic. They've had some close matchups this year, these 2 teams. They've also split their 4 games, which I think is indicative of how the series can go. Like there's a world where this goes 7. I'd probably lean 6. You have to tell me who's going to be out there, like who won't go be there. But if I look at the Magic, Obviously, Desmond Bane's dangerous. This is one of all the 6 teams, one of the best shooters here, and there's a lot of good shooters here. Jalen Suggs, from a defensive point guard, who, by the way, has killed the Knicks in the past on multiple occasions, including this season. Franz Wagner has done that too. If he's healthy, that's a big thing. So this is kind of banking on that a little bit. And then you have like Wendell Carter Jr., Goga Batadze, who are just annoying on the front court, who can go in, get a lot of rebounds, who can get cats to do dumb shit. You know what I mean? Like they have something there. I feel like the ceiling is not as high as I thought it would be coming into the season, so I'm a little bit disappointed by that. Otherwise, they're in a conversation to be 6-2. Like this really should be Philly, Orlando in the top 2, but you know, season's season.
So both of us with the Magic here at 5. I guess there's one team we agreed on out of all of this in our rankings. Look, this series, if possibly, it comes down to. This is a rock fight, okay?
Yeah.
I do not think the Magic are not as talented as the Sixers, right? If healthy. But the way I would say about this series, if it's possible, this is a series, maybe the most out of anybody on this list, that I think could make the Knicks stylistically uncomfortable. That's the way I look at it. This is a team who their defense is middle of the pack right now. I think their defense is actually better than Atlanta. I just want to say that because we talked about defensive rating, and then we saw how Atlanta surged. Their defense has gone up in the 11-game winning streak that they had and the opponents that they played. Orlando's defense is good. They're tough. They're physical. We have used the P word all season long around the Knicks. They struggle with physicality. We have seen this all season. This is what they don't want. And the Magic, they know their only chance to win this series because their offense sometimes is a little, can leave a little bit to be desired. And you don't know where the shot creation is coming from. They still lack that traditional point guard that you would like, or somebody that really can get downhill and set up the offense. They lack those things. But they will be physical. They are a very switchable team when it comes to defense. They will get up in you, right? They know that their identity is defense. This is a team that knows exactly who they are.
Now they do.
What they can't do, they're going to try to. They want these games to be ugly and slow.
Yep.
For the fans back in the 90s, this is not quite the same, but you will understand what I'm saying in this comparison. This is like when the Knicks used to play the Cavs back in the day. You knew those games were going to be ugly. And they were ugly. They were not fun to watch. But I think where they're dangerous is, you mentioned a guy like Desmond Bain, Bryan. He gets a little bit hot, and he's a professional scorer. We can do it. Now, the Knicks have handled this team at times. The Knicks took care of them in the NBA Cup semis and looked really good against them there.
Wasn't easy. And Jalen Suggs did get hurt in that game, by the way.
Yes, in that game.
Got hurt and left early. He was killing them in the first half.
Yeah. This is a team, I think, that thrives in low-scoring environments.
Yeah.
Thrives in it. They want the game to be low scoring. This is a Bryan Fonseca kind of team that he's going to like. The problem for me is why they wouldn't be number 1 is and they're number 6 if you put it here, is in terms of least favorable. I probably don't trust the heights of their offensive enough, and I still think, even though I said they know who they are and they want to be with the physicality, they still have just figured this out, right?
And then went on a 6-game losing
streak. Went in a 6-game losing streak.
Now, underdogs in a good chunk of those games, but the loss against Indy at home was that's the one where you're like, oh, okay.
So it's like, did you figure out exactly who you are?
The get right spot is tomorrow home against Sacramento, though.
Yeah, but it's like, did you? That's my thing with them. It's like, did you figure out exactly who you are yet?
Yeah.
I've seen it. You kind of know your identity, but I'm not necessarily sure you know your identity. But one thing I know is they are pretty much aware of how they have to play to win this series. Now, do I think they can beat the Knicks in the series? No. But they're annoying enough for me where it's like, you see that series there and you're like, I could see the Knicks losing 2 close, low-scoring games. Ones that you're probably going to be mad at the end. It's like, man, they should have won, but they just outmuscled the Knicks for a rebound here or something else here. You can totally see that. I can also see a world where if the Knicks are on their game, this is 5 and done.
I don't think it's 5. I think it's at least 6.
I can see, all I'm saying is I can see the world of it happening.
Yeah.
That's not saying I would bet on it.
I think
that's not saying I think it would happen. I think Jamal Mosley is a good coach. I think this team is they're gonna come in and say we have to muck this up.
Yeah.
Now, is Desmond Bain gonna do some dumb stuff and throw the ball at people again for no reason? We have no idea. But they're dangerous. I'm respecting the physicality, and the Knicks, what they're gonna have to prove in the playoffs against some team. And we're not even talking about Detroit yet. We're just talking about first-round opponents. I don't care whether it's Detroit or somebody else.
Yeah.
They're going to have to prove that when a team says, yo, we're going to get physical with you, that they can then rise to that level. They're going to have to prove that. And if you want to see that out the Knicks, maybe sometimes, like you said, some adversity, Brian, can be good. Maybe getting that kind of adversity with a team like Orlando that's physical against them, it might make them a little uncomfortable. Because what I said stylistically uncomfortable is what I called them.
Right.
Sometimes stylistically uncomfortable, a team playing you that way is good for your long-term chances to get an NBA title.
And by the way, when you're more talented than the other team, that's often the method to try to even out the series is the other team's going to be a lot more physical with you. I mean, this is what we've seen the Heat do in their surprising playoff runs. They're like, all right, in the playoffs, you can play harder and you can get away with more because you're actually allowed to play a little bit more defense. So teams will take advantage of that. I think Orlando's one of those teams like, maybe they're more built for the playoffs. We haven't seen this core win a playoff series yet. We saw them push Cleveland to 7 a couple games, a couple seasons ago, rather. Then last year, they had an interesting series with Boston where they didn't push them to 7, but they did push them a little bit, but they didn't have the offensive talent at the time. So we'll see. Don't know if this is the year that they piece it all together. Hasn't looked like it. It's been very uneasy, but there's still something there. And with this Knicks team, like Orlando has the same capability that the Heat have defensively. Orlando probably has that too. I would say the Heat's defense is more consistent. That's why they're ranked higher. But Orlando at least got away from trying to play really fast because they started the season trying to play really fast. That pace is all the way down to 16 after it's being like near top in the NBA. So they've figured some things out to a degree. I still have questions. But if they're healthy, and if Franz and Paolo can gel and figure it out, then yeah, this series will not be fun for the Knicks. I think they'll win, but it could go 7. Wouldn't surprise me.
Ugh, nobody wants
just
that.
Because of the ugliness.
Knicks fans don't want that to go 7.
More
okay.
like 6 more likely, but 7 possible.
I'd agree. All right, so we both have the Magic at 5. We know who you have at 6. And I am like stunned by you. Why don't we just get you a teal-colored Charlotte Hornets starter jacket? You get a part in the middle of your head like Larry Johnson back in the day. You know what I mean? It's Buzz City over here.
My show logo is teal and dark blue.
Yeah, you so you've been telling us in plain sight the whole time.
Well, to be fair,
what time it is?
The OG Puerto Rican flag, teal. Also, well, light blue.
It's a cover, folks. It's a
blue.
cover. You have the Charlotte Hornets as the least favorable matchup for the New York Knicks, a team with no playoff experience, as I mentioned earlier.
Correct.
I did not think he was going to take. I was like, there's no way he's going to put them at 6, and he goes out here and puts them at 6. Mr. Buzz City over here, please explain yourself.
Net rating since January 1st. Number 3, Detroit Pistons, 9.3. Number 2, San Antonio Spurs, 9.5. Charlotte Hornets, number 1, 11.5. Also, by the way, the Celtics, 8.6, and the Thunder, 8.2, and the Knicks, 7.1 round out. Like, basically, that's telling you they've been elite for almost 3 months. Like, Charlotte's 1. Look at the other teams behind them. Spurs, contender. Pistons, contender. Celtics, contender. Knicks, contender. Thunder, contender. Cavs, contender.
Okay.
And then Atlanta is 8, and that's where it starts to get a little bit murky. But you play who's in front of your schedule. 27-12, ridiculous record plus minus with Moussa Diabate starting since he took over for Ryan Kalkbrenner. He's been really good, and the record with him, Miles Bridges. No, not Miles Bridges, actually. He's not even part of the great equation. He's been starting. He's playing every game, but he's not like the swing piece here. With LaMelo Ball, Con Knipple, and Brandon Miller started together, they're 33-17. If you added Moussa Diabate, it's just about the same. It's actually a little bit better because there were a few of those games where Kalkbrenner started because Moussa Diabate has been elite this year. Like the win pace that it's been for January 1st, it's just been ridiculous. I buy into it. The defense has also been really good during this stretch. They've been 6th. The best defenses since January 1st in order. Pistons, Thunder, Spurs, Knicks, Celtics, Hornets. Like, they keep being up there with all these elite teams.
But they ain't play. But
They're beating good teams too. They beat the Spurs.
Sure.
They beat the shit out of the Celtics in Boston.
Sure. A beat down.
You know what I mean? They beat the Thunder, and that's around the time where all this was starting. They beat the Thunder in OKC by a lot. You know what I mean? Like they have too many of these wins now. And the other element of this is part of it is size. Like we can talk basketball. They have 3 dudes, 4 if you want to include Miles Bridges, who are all 6'6" plus, who can create their own shot and who can shoot threes, like legitimately shoot threes, including Concacaf, who's one of the best shooters in the NBA, and LaMelo Ball, who's not playing a ton of minutes, but 3rd in assist percentage and has been great per minute this year. Like his counting stats aren't off the wall. Per minute, he's been running the show like a real point guard.
Cut the turnovers down.
He's cutting shit out, right? So there's that. And on top of that, you have a style that's a little too carefree. Like they're a little bit like, yo, they could actually sneak up on somebody because of the way that they play. If the ball's flying all the time, they're looking for corner shooters. Moussa Diabate is switching onto dudes, getting rebounds. Sometimes he'll get the ball, pass it back out because the shooter can relocate to the corner, whether it's Concacaf or LaMelo Ball. Like they have all these different ways. Like since their 4-14 start, I think they're super legitimate. I go as far as to say I think they're the 5th best team in the Eastern Conference. That's why I think they should be number 6 on this list. I think they've been better for too long than some of these other teams we're talking about. There's 4 contenders in the East, so I'm not calling them a contender. It's whatever order you want. The Knicks, Celtics, Pistons, and the Cavaliers. There's not another team in the Eastern Conference where I'm like, they're convincingly better than Charlotte the way that they've been playing since January 1st. I've seen too much.
Here's my thing. Here's what we've seen. I've seen, all those numbers are great. I've seen Charlotte do all this stuff, but we all know one thing. Regular season basketball is not playoff basketball. And I'm not saying eventually that won't translate to them for playoff basketball. I'm talking about this year right now with this team that doesn't have this experience. Do I trust them to be a strong deterrent for the Knicks? I think they can catch somebody off guard for a game in the playoffs. Unless they play, again, this is my point, unless they play another inexperienced team like the Pistons, who haven't worn around, who have a little more experience than them.
They got experience, though.
They got a little experience because they played around, but the Pistons are the kind of team I could see slipping up against the Hornets. I don't see that happening for the Knicks. There are things I like about the Hornets, and I think the Hornets are real. And I know I kind of said, they're the 5th best team in the East question. But yeah, I'm not sure I trust another team after the Cavs over them that much. Could I make a case for Philly is not healthy?
If Philly were healthy,
yes.
I'd say it should be Philly, it should be Orlando. Those 2 teams aren't healthy.
Even Atlanta, no, it should be Philly or Orlando, I would say.
It should be Philly or Orlando.
But this is what's going to be perfect to transition. Right, we are definitely miles apart on.
And
on this.
I'm not somebody who over-index on the regular season. Like I think a lot of what we see in the regular season could be BS. But
I don't think this is BS.
But
I just think
it's too loud. Like I've seen a lot of their games on League Pass, as you know.
We know. We know.
As part of this confirmation bias, maybe because I had every single Charlotte Hornets over 40 plus wins.
It's part of it.
All these different things. And look, Charles Lee, like he comes from a Celtics staff who won a title, a Bucks staff that won a title, a Hawks staff who was really good under Mike Budenholzer, who also produced Kenny Atkinson. Like, they have a real coach. Like, I said it even last year. I was like, I think they have the coach. Last year, they got 2 injured. This year, they still had injuries, and they were able to figure it out. So, again, I think this is probably a 6-game series tops. But
oh man,
it's dangerous the way that they're playing now. It's like too carefree. It's too loose. LaMelo's been in the play-in before. He's had a couple of games.
Does
with
the carefree stuff work as much in the playoffs? And that's my big thing.
They worked with the Pacers last year.
The Pacers had more experience than them. That's a different
one run.
But that run matters.
No, I understand.
That
we went
run
to Eastern
matters.
Conference Finals, but I'm just experience matters, but to a point. And if we're talking in the if you're coming into a first round series, can you bother the other team, which is what we're talking about? I think that's different. I'm not saying they're going to win. They're going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. That's not what I'm saying.
I just think the Knicks. I think the Knicks. It's a good matchup for the Knicks. I like the Knicks against them. I think that because I think, and my big thing is an if, and I've said a lot about ifs, but if Cat, this is a series I see Cat rolling in, should cook in this series, that I think can do really good. If Wingstop plays like Wingstop, I think they can do really good. I
think it's going to be a headache for Wingstop in this series.
I think they can rattle this team a little bit in the postseason.
They should.
And
They should.
And yeah,
I agree with the Cat point. With Brunson, he should be able to get hit. I'm curious as to who guards him in this series because I don't think any one guy could on that team.
They're going to throw a bunch of guys at him. I think the Knicks will cook in this series. It will be a big series, I'll say, if this plays. I will say this.
The issue I have with the Knicks more so in the series is getting stops consistently against the way the offense have been playing.
This might be one of those series where you look at this team, the Hornets team, you're like, look, man, they can put up points. We just got to execute offensively better than them. Now, Knicks fans are not going to like to hear that.
Number one offense since January 1st also.
I got it. What do you do about when guys are playing playoff level defense against you? That's what I need to see from the Hornets before I'm a believer. Mm-hmm. I need to see that first. I'm not saying
Spurs tried it.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that it's not real for them.
Yeah.
I just know how. I don't like when you talk about bother. Can they win two? Like when you put them at 6, you're saying you think they can win 2 games. I don't think they can win 2 games.
I think they can win.
I don't think they can win 2 games.
I think they can win.
Don't think they can win 2 games.
One because here's the thing. One because I've already told you again. Priors. Confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias is high.
Listen, I've already said whoever the Hornets play in the playoffs, they're winning game 1. I've said that already.
Smoking on that Charlotte Hornets
pack. Game 1, and then after that, I'm like, I don't think anyone's gonna beat them 4 in a row. So that's where I get 6. It's like you get 1, and then you get 4 or 5, and then we're good. And then next year they're 50 wins.
Can I? Okay, so you think they're 6? I have them at 1. I'm going to give you what I think might be the slightly unpopular take here.
That's
might be
sweep.
Knicks sweep over the Hornets. You heard it here first. Knicks play the Hornets, sweep. Bring out the brooms. Now, that'll bring me to my number 16, which people have probably figured out by this point. This pick for me is so much based on respect. So much of this is about respect, and it is the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, you had them just a bit above them. You had them 4.
4, yeah.
I respect Eric Spoelstra so much that he will find some way for this team to be a thorn in the side of the Knicks. I've seen this movie before, people. Do I think this Miami Heat team is particularly good or dangerous as some other teams we've seen before? No, I don't.
As other Heat teams.
Other Heat teams we've seen before. Not other teams. Other Heat teams we've seen before.
They don't have Jimmy Butler.
I do think the defense is real. I want to say that.
100%.
Top 10 defense, 112.3 defensive rating. This team has been consistently good at defense, which you compare to the Magic, and is a more consistent team defensively throughout this year. I think the other thing for me, too, is they, maybe even more than the Magic, know who they are. They know they ain't that good offensively. Now, I don't think they have the offense to keep up with the Knicks, and I think if the Knicks ever catch them in a day where
that's the issue.
The threes don't fall for them, I think the Knicks handle them. But I've seen this team muck it up. I can see Spoelstra throwing in his zone against this team, and the Knicks taking a while to figure it out, and it wins them a game. They've tried to play with more pace this year, right? They do play controlled, and I do like that. I think Andrew Wiggins being healthier matters. I think Bam coming up, Bam ain't putting no 83 up on the Knicks, but because it's not the Wizards, but I do think him playing better is good. He's a guy that can frustrate Cat.
Also, he has, and also 78 career playoff games.
Yes.
Like a ton of playoff experience, and he's been good in a bunch of those games. I know some people will point out, like, there's been instances where he's had, 12 here and whatever, but, like, his defense is consistent in playoffs, and he's had some games where they've needed him to get buckets, and he's done that.
We can make an argument that of these 6 teams that we're talking about, Bryan, here, Bam Adebayo is the most impactful defensive player of these 6 teams that we're talking about. I don't think it's close.
And I think if you're just doing individual players, I'm most scared of in a playoff series, everybody here, Tyrese Maxey's 1. I'm putting Bam ahead of Embiid. Oh, based on their playoff history.
I also know he's likely going to play as opposed to Embiid, right? And the other thing is too is I think because of this team being so well coached, and the thing I think that's different, they're going to they'll play with some pace, but if they need to slow the pace, they can do this. Now, do you trust them enough offensively? That's a different question.
Right, yeah.
But what they will do when they slow the pace. This is a smart team. This is a well-coached team. This is a team that is going to target Brunson and Cat. they will look to exploit that however they can. Will it be a little Tyler Hero action? Will it be some Andrew Wiggins action on them? Sure. Will it be Norm Powell? They will try. If they want to try to get up threes, they'll try to get up threes. We all remember that game early in the season at the Garden that the Knicks won the NBA Cup game where Landry Shamet went off. That he was getting up threes in that game. And they can play, to me, more of a varied style than any team here of the six. Now, do I trust the offense that much? No, but I think they are the most adaptable team of these six
They
here.
can get you in their game.
Yes.
Like more than any other team here, and this is probably why I maybe should have had them where the Magic are. They have the playoff resume with the coach, with Bam specifically.
The ecosystem is good, man.
Yeah, and they can just figure out ways to just drag a game into 101 with 3:11 left. And then you're like, oh, God, we have to come up with offense against this team. And
No. I want to pause you right there.
Yeah.
See how you said, oh, man, we got to come up with offense about this team. That's the Eric Spoelstra factor.
Right.
That's where Mike Brown is going to. Mike Brown can coach and probably outcoach Eric Spoelstra, although Eric Spoelstra is an all-time great. I'm saying he could. I'm not saying I would bank on it. I'm saying he's going to earn his money against Eric Spoelstra is what I'm saying.
This is the coach you fear the most of this group by far. Not even close.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Yeah.
And if he gets his team out of the play-in tournament, assuming they will be in there, this is a guy who's going to have his team prepared.
Yeah.
They're not coming in.
Don't let them be the 6th seed.
They're not coming in.
More time to prepare.
They're not coming to Madison Square Garden game one shook. Shooketh they will not be. They will come in and they will be ready. So much of this pick is on adaptability. So much of this is on trust in Eric Spoelstra and respect for the Heat. Look, I know all y'all out there are like, F the Heat, F Heat culture. And I hear you. But I know deep down in your heart,
that you
still respect them a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you have to bring that energy to Heat. And as New Yorkers, you should bring that energy to the Heat. But I know deep down that energy is there because you respect them. And a lot of this pick, and maybe I'm tripping on this, a lot of this pick for me is about respect for the ecosystem. And I'm not all wave the Heat culture pom-pom guy. I'm not that dude. I think people go too far with the Heat culture stuff, to be honest.
Although Heat culture comes from New York, if we're being honest.
Put some respect
Pat
on
Riley. Pat Riley brought it to,
But yeah, I think this is a team that can slow you down when they need to. I think they can speed you up when they need to. I think they're going to be well coached. They're going to be prepared. Do I think are they as talented as Philly when healthy? No. Are they probably...
They're not as dynamic offensively as Charlotte.
Charlotte, or I'd even...
You know what
maybe
I said that wrong, but y'all know what I said.
Yeah, but even I'll say Atlanta, right? But I trust them the most out of all these teams, and trust is the big thing for me. I don't trust Charlotte in the way you trust Charlotte. You trust Charlotte in a way I don't trust Charlotte.
Yeah, I'd feel better about the Heat. I'm not even trying to shade either guy, but like the Tyler Norm thing just hasn't worked offensively, and that's where it's like. But knowing them,
would it shock you with the Tyler and Norm Powell not working if if this was a 2-2 series after 4? Would it shock you?
No, not even a little bit. As a matter of fact, 4, 5, and 6 for me, and really the Heat. More so than anybody else, I should move the Heat where the Magic are. I'm not moving them where the Hornets
picks are. Your picks. But
we're gonna leave it there because the Magic still have a higher ceiling, I think, than the Heat, and that's sort of where I come down. But the defense is legit, Bam is legit, Spo is legit, the ecosystem is legit, and like that has 6-7 game series written all over.
That's part of the reason I've got him number 1.
If that's a 3-6, and if you're a Knicks fan out there, you're confident in your team that you'll win. I'm sure. You're also deep down like, all right, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
when I looked at all these teams,
because then you know
that's the feeling I got.
Because you know what better team to also on the flip side, what better team to prepare you for a 2-3 against Boston?
See, to that point,
because Boston's got a little bit of a different identity.
To that point, and we can wrap on this. Mm-hmm. A lot of times we want to go for who's most favorable. But is that the best team that's going to help you in the long term for where you're trying to go? People always say, you don't want, this is maybe why I could also make an argument for Orlando. Sometimes you don't want to get beat up. Sometimes you don't want to go where it's too physical.
Miami and Orlando will beat you up.
But you should sometimes want a little bit of a test. Now, if you can cruise and blow people out and get some rest, it's good. But then you might get a shock in the next round when you're like, oh, this is not this one thing is not like the other.
The Pistons series was good for them. We saw that last year.
I agree. See, I agree. But I don't think enough fans think like that. They're thinking about cruising. We look back and don't think about where the Knicks got last year, 2 games away from the NBA Finals, and how important that tough Pistons series was for them. And I'm not saying you want the toughest series or you want to work hard, but maybe getting pushed a little bit. Maybe it comes from your Hornets. Yeah, they're your Hornets now. Yeah, it's your Hornets now.
I like that team very much.
Thanks, Captain Obvious. We know you like that team very much. They've been my favorite team
to watch this year. Whatever. Look. I'm just going off of what I've seen since January, and
Knicks sweep over the Hornets. You heard it here first.
Sometimes you just don't know what you don't know, and sometimes what you don't know doesn't matter.
Look,
they're carefree as shit, man.
So there we go. Brian,
recap the list.
Yes, recap your list, please.
Order from easiest to toughest: Raptors, Hawks, Sixers, Heat, Magic, who I kind of want to flip, and the Hornets.
Wild, crazy. And me in the order of easiest to hardest and what I think most favorable to least favorable. It's most favorable to least favorable. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Hornets. Yeah, total opposite end of the spectrum from Bryan. Got the Hornets pom poms.
PD Pablo will be pissed at you.
He could throw his rag up, wave it around his head, maybe take his shirt off or whatever they used to do down there. Raptors. J. Cole might be pissing at me too. Hawks, Sixers, Magic, and then Heat as the least favorable matchup. There you go. That is it. Those are our picks. They're in the book.
Give us your lists.
Give us your list in the comments. Let us know what you think is. Give us your 6. You got to rank it in order.
Yeah.
Don't just give us your 6. You got to rank it in order. You got to say, hey, this is the most favorable. This is the least favorable that we like or don't like. Let us know what you think in the comments. We will try to respond to you. Also, if you have any more questions for us, we'll probably do a mailbag in a couple of weeks or so before the playoffs. Maybe next week. This episode, for people who don't know, and I've talked about it and some other stuff, is the last time you're going to see me in studio for a while.
Until the playoffs.
Until the playoffs. I will be having surgery on my injured Achilles. Again, shout out to a lot of you guys who sent some love out there for that. We will be still doing things remote. That's the beauty of stuff. We will still be doing shows remote. We'll still bring you multiple New York Out games a week. So we'll have a lot of stuff going on with that. Playoffs are coming soon. We will see who they get out of this matchup. That's going to be really fun to see who they get this matchup. You know what I'm rooting for right now? Just because Bryan I'm rooting for Knicks Hornets.
They play tomorrow.
This is what I want. We get to see them tomorrow. I'm rooting for them. Knicks sweep, Knicks in 4. You heard it here first.
And honestly, if you didn't need to be put on the IL for a little bit, we'd be doing a watch party.
We would have been doing a watch party. We would have been doing a watch party for it. We will have some post game recap shows coming up for you while I'm not in studio. We'll let you guys know about that. So stay tuned with us.
If my neighbors are pissing me off, I'll be in studio. You'll be remote.
Oh God, neighbors. Somebody's gonna be pissed off at you with the Hornets pick. But there you go. That's it. That's gonna do it for this episode. Once again, let us know your picks, comments. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button for you guys. Here's Bryan Fonseca, Mr. Hornets over there. I'm Dexter Henry.
Raise up.
Oh God. Send them to North Carolina, please. Send them down to North Carolina. I'm Dexter Henry. We will catch you next time on another edition of New York Got Game. Peace.
And thanks for watching New York Got Game. Boom shakalaka.